Happy Tuesday with Tamika. Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another episode of Tuesday with Tamika, where you guys already know what it is. We believe in lifting as we climb, turning our trials into treasures, living a life to inspire and not impress, opening up and allowing God to fully restore us, and loving as if we have never been hurt. Can you believe that we are in the month of November and the Lord of our Savior, Jesus Christ? 2024. We are literally a little under 60 days from 2025. And I'm going to give you guys a forewarning as I am recording this podcast. I am sitting in the airport in North Carolina. Come on and wait. Then, turn down everybody do like a helicopter. I am sitting in the airport waiting for my flight. I have a long layover. So instead of me just sitting, y'all know your coach. Y'all already know that I am going to be productive because we are booked, busy, and boot up. Okay. So we are not allowing any time to be wasted. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the power of taking accountability. So, earlier, my shuttle driver, when he dropped me and my son off at the airport, we began to have a very good conversation. As you all know, we are in this election year, and there are a lot of fingers being pointed as to why the world is the way that it is. So people are blaming red, some people are blaming blue, some people are blaming up, some people are blaming down. Listen, I believe that we have to take accountability for our individual lives. So, as I was saying, my shuttle driver, we were having a very, very deep conversation about just the state of the family, the attack on the family, the state of our children's mental health. I mean, in this 10 minutes, y'all, it was packed with a lot of good conversation. And as soon as we stepped out of the shuttle, my son said, "Oh my God, y'all talked about," and he named about five different things. And then he said, "Podcast." And I said, "You ain't never lied." And that just goes to show how our children watch what we do and not what we say. So he immediately knew that the subject of conversation, one, he knew that it wasn't his place to chime in. And two, he knew that this was good content for Tuesday with Tamika podcast. So before we jump in, I just want to say, as we are entering into my favorite month, I love, 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 love Thanksgiving. It is one of my family's holidays that we still do support, and not in like the traditional pilgrims and all of that. So y'all don't come for me. Don't send me no DMs. Don't send me none of that. It is just a one of the holidays that I love that is not about receiving, but it's all about giving. It's about giving thanks. It's about giving time and space to be with your family and just to be. So it's a time to get a little good eating in, okay? We still do the good eating, and I love that. I love that for us. You know, you choose to do what you do, but I love that for me and my family. It is one of the holidays as a kid that I remember my family getting all together and us really just loving on each other, dance contests and all the good things, y'all. It was a great time. So it is one of the traditions that I have chosen to keep. Ooh, and this leads me into this topic because I believe taking responsibility and accountability, especially as an adult, you have to decide what traditions, what family values and cultures you want to keep, and those that are no longer serve you and those that are not for you. And there are a lot of things that my family did that I was like, yeah, this ain't for me and my family. This is not something that we are going to do. But then there are some things that we chose to do, and I take accountability for that. I don't have the, oh, woe, it's me personality or attitude with all the traumas, all the ups and the downs that my family has faced and that I have faced as a child. I have taken accountability. There is a quote that says, "You are not responsible for the trauma that happened to you, but you are responsible and need to be accountable for how you handle it and how you allow it to affect you." So, in today's podcast, I am going to give you the three reasons why we need to take accountability and how this can be a superpower. Y'all, this has been a superpower for me in my life that has caused me to be booked, busy, and booed up. Y'all like that alliteration? I love it. I love it here. So, before we jump into today's show, the nitty gritty, you guys already know it's a solo cast. I love to do solo cast at the beginning of every month. Again, excuse the noise that may be in the background, but just know I'm taking accountability for my podcast. I could say, oh, my schedule has been too busy for me to record, but instead, I am taking accountability because I have made a promise to myself, to God, and to y'all, my listening audience, to produce a show every single week. Rain, sleet, or show, snow, travel, or grounded. I'm doing this thing. I'm in here for the long haul. So before we go ahead in today's podcast episode is sponsored by Tuesday with Tamika Coaching and Consulting. This month, we will be having the month of December, we will be having another booked, busy, and boot up 3-day virtual event where I am going to show you how to identify whether they are a partner or a pretender so you can be prepared to live the life and the love with the love of your dreams in the next 90 days or less. So going over to Tuesday with Tamika /booked, busy, and boot up and register for this free 3-day event now. Okay, the power of taking accountability. Even as I'm recording this, I'm thinking about a conversation that I had years ago with my brother L7, Mike, uh, you know, deal, whatever, all the things, Lil Mike, if you really know him. We were having a conversation about accountability. And I remember he said something that was super powerful. And he said, accountability is like a curse word to many people. And if they feel like it's an attack on their character and their personality, because people don't want to take accountability. And in the context of what we were talking, y'all gonna get mad at me. Y'all gonna not like me. But we were talking about Christian folks because Christian folks will like to blame the devil. They will like to blame their child trauma. They will like to blame everything except for themselves. And they refuse a lot of times to take accountability. And this is what leads to stagnation. Is what leads to cyclical cycles of dysfunction. This is what leads to us saying stuff but not living it, right? This is why a lot of us walk a walk or talk a talk, but we're not walking in that direction of our walk. And so we agreed heavily that in order for you to be, do, and have everything that you say and that the word of God says that you should have, it first starts with you taking accountability. So the first like big benefit of taking accountability is it empowers your personal growth. When you take responsibility for your actions and your decisions, you unlock the potential for growth. By acknowledging, now here's the thing, y'all, by acknowledging both your successes and your missteps or your perceived failures, you learn a valuable lesson to propel you forward. So I want to talk about, you guys know I'm a big football mom. I'm a big sports mom, period. Like all of my kids have played some type of competitive sports. Don't tell the kids I said this, but football is probably my favorite. Football, then track. I think they know it. So ain't no, secrets here. But one of the things about football that a lot of people miss is when somebody fumbles. When you fumble the ball, it can cause like great stress, great agony, great discomfort, especially if you fumble and then the other team picks up the ball and scores a touchdown, which is called a pick six, right? or if the quarterback, that's actually a pick six is when the quarterback throws the ball and the other team intercepts it and then runs it all the way back. So whether it's a fumble or it's a pick six, these are both perceived failures. These are both things that can cause your team to lose. And the number one way for you to recover after that fumble, after that interception, is really to acknowledge it and to take accountability. You'll often see the football players like, my bad, coach, my bad, not on the ground crying. And I can't stand that. But when they take responsibility for their action, now when you truly take responsibility for that failure, for that misstep, your next job to do, if you don't get pulled out for the rest of the game, which if we're comparing this to life, you're not getting pulled out the rest of your life when you fumble, when you throw an interception, when you miss the blessing, when you miss the voice of God, when you miss the call of God, whatever those things are, you're not pulled out the game forever. Your responsibility is, one, to take accountability for your misstep, and then two, to get your butt back in the game and go hard to recover. I have seen so many plays where the ball is fumbled and then the other team is super excited, but they don't make that touchdown. Or even if they do make the touchdown and they score, but the next play, the team that fumbled, the team that through the interception, that next play, they go all in and they realize, okay, yes, I had this perceived failure, but now it's my opportunity to regain possession, ooh, come on, you guys, this is so good. If you ain't taking notes, write this down. If you taking notes, write this down. To regain possession, to regain the positive footing in your life, to be able to propel yourself to success. The other thing that we have to acknowledge is our successes as a people, whether you consider yourself well, listen, primarily my audience is women. So for the women, for the Christian folks, for the Black people, acknowledge your successes. For the people of color, because so often we have these great gains in life, but because we were told things like, don't get the big head, don't think you all that because you did X, Y, and Z, we have a very hard time to take accountability for our success. So this is not only you taking accountability for your mishap or your failure, but you also have to learn how to take accountability for your success. This, listen to me, y'all. Lean in, come on, come on. This is what empowers your personal growth, is when you are able to take accountability. Okay, number two, it strengthens your relationships. Accountability fosters trust, transparency in our relationships. It also helps us own up to our actions. It helps us to create a foundation of respect, understanding, and strengthens the connection around us and those around us. Okay. So my youngest son, my 12-year-old son, I have been teaching him this lesson heavily. I mean, heavily. I taught it to all my kids. I do not believe in just making excuses for our children when they do things that are wrong or when they do things that are right. I have been telling my son to take responsibility and accountability, that this is deep character work. And I know grown men, grown women that will never take responsibility. But I always tell him our relationship cannot be solid if you are not willing to take responsibility. I also tell him, and I tell him that this is also goes both ways, right? This is a two-way street. This is not just him taking accountability, but me as the parent, it is my responsibility to model, come on, parents, to model taking accountability for him. And this is how we strengthen the trust and the responsibility. We had a situation right before we were going on this North Carolina trip where he said something that wasn't true. And I called him on it, and he's always like, why are you calling me on stuff? Or what, like he'll try to be a little bit combative. And I tell him, because you have to take responsibility. And if you don't take responsibility for the stuff that comes out of your mouth, for your actions, I can't trust you. If I can't trust you, our relationship, even though we are son and mother, our relationship will be super, super surface. I want you guys to sit and think as adults, as grown folks. How many of you guys have surface level relationships with your parents because they didn't take accountability for the stuff that they did in childhood? How many of you have surface level relationships with your parents because you weren't taught how to take accountability? So things happen, bad stuff happened in your family, trauma, tragedy, and it was just swept under the rug. It was just dismissed. Nobody stopped and said, no, let's discuss this. Let's talk about the gravity of how this affected you, how this affected me. Your parents, a lot of grown folks, they parents never said sorry for them to them, and so they are acting out in ways because really their inner child is looking for somebody to take accountability for the harm that happened to them in childhood. So from my oldest 25-year-old to my youngest 12-year-old, I have modeled taking accountability. I say sorry to my babies when I make missteps and failures and when I do things. But then I also am on their head about them being accountable humans, for them taking accountability and responsibility, and not only taking accountability, but changing behavior once it's pointed out. I'm on their head. Because you know why? I always tell my son, the 12-year-old, I don't want to get a call 20 years from now from your wife talking about he don't take accountability. Nah, ain't nobody gonna be able to say that my kids don't take accountability. I tell my daughters, I'm not gonna when your husband call you or call me and say, and y'all fussing, what they're not going to be able to say is that you don't take accountability, because I am teaching you, one, by modeling it, and two, by kind of low key forcing you to take accountability for your actions. Why? Because this is going to strengthen your relationships in the long run. Number three, but before we go on to number three, I need y'all to take accountability. Have y'all gone over to the Stand store? Have you guys checked out any of the digital products that Tuesday with Tamika Coaching and Consulting has prepared for you guys? Oh my goodness. These products are phenomenal. They aid in exactly like what we're talking about, some of those areas in your life that have gone unhealed because parents didn't take accountability. I want to read off a couple of lists of things, and I want to share with you guys what they do. But before I even share the the good stuff, that well, all the products are amazing, y'all. They buy 'em. They out here, they amazing. But every single month we prepare a digital calendar for you to download. This month, the month of November, the calendar is all about surrender. So there are 31 scriptures every day about surrender, because we need to surrender. We need to surrender. Y'all, we just need to surrender. So go on over and get that free download. You also have the direct link to the podcast in the Stand store. Oh my gosh, you have an inner child healing ebook and audio visualization that is life changing. I have clients that have paid lots of dollars to receive this training, and I have added it to the Stand store. You have your dear future wife or dear future husband journal. You have your 7-day mindset journal. You have your healed girl gratitude journal. You got the 21-day gratitude journal. You got booked, busy, and booed up ebook. Y'all, and you have the 6-week restored manual. Y'all, I made a digital copy of this. This manual has sold over 600 copies. It is in high demand. It's something that you could use at Bible studies, that you could use at women's groups, you could use as a book study. And then you have the ability to join my mentorship and also get one-to-one private coaching from me. So go on over to the Stand store, y'all. Go over. It is phenomenal. I'm going to put the link in the show notes for you to be able to go directly over there and get your copy of one of those digital products. They are easy to download. You can actually print them out once you download them. So go on over, don't wait. All right, the last thing, and I certainly hope y'all can still hear me, is taking accountability fosters a positive mindset. So, recognizing your role in the outcomes of lives, both positive and negative, helps you to cultivate a mindset of resiliency and gratitude. Taking accountability allows us to see how our actions align with the goals and encourage us to continue to move forward. I just needed to pause right there because one of the greatest ways that I have, or one of the greatest reasons why I believe I have been successful in life is because I have taken accountability. When I was going through my divorces, I was able to sit back and see me. I'm not a finger pointer, y'all. I am not a finger pointer. I was like, okay, dude was crazy. Dude was not the one. But Tamika, you were messy, you were insecure, you had unhealed trauma, you all the things that you did, right? You were aggressive, you were passive aggressive, you were insecure, like all of the things. I was able to look at those things and then I was able to grow from them. I was able to say, okay, I don't want to be these things. And I realized how my role in the success of things. And then I realized my role in the breakdown of certain things and what I had the power to change and control. So it fostered this positive mindset. It fostered this way of thinking. Another quick story, you guys. I was teaching my son like real time about people that are pessimists and then people that are optimists that see the world in a positive light. So we were sitting at IHOP and he was drinking his orange juice and he got it right to the halfway mark. And I said, um, is this is your cup half full or half empty? And he's like, half full. And I was like, he's like, because I still got some more to drink. And I was like, yes, first of all, come on, optimist, come on, brother. Um, but I was telling him the power of having a positive mindset, and I was able to connect it back to taking responsibility. I was telling him that people that don't take responsibility for their actions, they have an extremely hard time being positive because they are always looking at things from a negative viewpoint. So I pray that this quick solo cast encouraged you. I know it was a lot going on in the background, but I hope you guys was able to lock in and focus. I'm taking accountability for all what was going on, but I'm also taking accountability for giving you guys another fire Tuesday with Tamika episode. You guys, 2025 is going to be phenomenal. It is going to be amazing. It is going to literally, some of your dreams are going to be answered, but it's not going to start until you learn to take accountability for the good, the bad, and the indifferent. I feel a very strong urge to pray over today's podcast and to pray over the rest of this year as we are getting ready to walk into, my God, suddenlies in 2025, sudden prayer answers, sudden deliverance, sudden healing, sudden marriages, sudden all the things, y'all. So thank you again for listening. Make sure you share the podcast. Make sure you like the podcast. Make sure you rate the podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go on over to those 5 stars. Give us those 5 stars. If you're listening on Spotify, rate us, share, subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, what up, YouTubers? If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and share this. Share this, share this, share this. Make sure you guys are also tagging us as you're sharing this content. on social media, tag us. We love it. We love to reshare and to repost the things that you guys tag us in. Take accountability. Take accountability for the fact that you love you some Tuesday with Tamika. Okay. Take accountability for the fact that you love listening to this podcast and share it with somebody that you know it will encourage. Remember, we over here, we live a life to inspire and not impress. We lift as we climb. We turn our trials into treasures. We open up and allow God to fully restore us, and we love as if we have never been hurt. Let's go before the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, I just want to bless every ear that is listening to this podcast, whether they are listening to it in November 2024 or they are listening to it in November 2030. Lord, I thank you. I thank you for every listener. I thank you for this podcast going viral. I thank you for it hitting the charts and people literally being blessed by the sound of my voice, Lord, by the instructions and the coaching that you give me the wisdom to impart. Lord, I pray for suddenlies. I pray that 2025 be an Amos 9:13 year, that people begin to have blessings one on top of the other, that there will be so many blessings that their head will swim, that they will look up and it'll be another good thing and another good thing, God. I pray for healing. I pray for restoration, God. I pray for marriages, God. I pray for supernatural relationships, God. I just pray, Lord God, for supernatural finances, Lord. I pray that prayers that have been spoken and unspoken for years, that there be these suddenlies that happen and people look up and begin to say, wow, I prayed for that 2 years ago and now it is here. Lord, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I pray for and I cover Tuesday with Tamika coaching and consulting. I pray that you continue to expand, you continue to bless, and you help us to surrender all the plans to you. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. You guys, I love you. I love you with my all. I pray that this podcast blessed you. And I pray that this pod bless you. And I pray that you continue to do all the things for you to do, be, and have everything that God has promised for you. Bye bye.